Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Our Life. I'm just gonna hop straight into it, so
Okay.
let's go. And in we go. Eddie did those. The top in the family. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky as you closed your eyes, enjoying the mixture of heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of those hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier that day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on a hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up, reaching for a snack, listening to Lee talk about the music she had gotten to see a few days ago. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and if it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've got to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. Not what I wanted. Look at that dress, though. I have to say, a lot of like the outfits for this would not be my particular like, oh, I'd wear that myself. But ah, um, the like if you look at the detailing just on her dress alone, you can see like the swirls and the hearts and that fabulous. She was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. You also liked to sing, but you weren't very good. You also liked to sing and had a talent of your own. You didn't like to sing, but you had been told you were good at it. You were you weren't good at singing, and that suited you just fine. Uh, I want to say we had a talent, but we didn't like to sing. Whether that was true or not, there were other things you preferred doing more. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come watch too. It'd totally work. I don't know about that. The I gave you stage fright. Sure, I'll give it a go. That's not a good idea. It'd be embarrassing. Let's make her a little. Let's make the character a little scared, a little stage fright. But wouldn't showing off to everybody be fun? The thought of an audience made you feel queasy. Not really.
Sure.
Are you really super sure you have so many skills you could show off to the masses? They'd rather do something else. Lee seemed a little disappointed, but she nodded and respected your wishes all the same. What did you have in mind? The two of you laid back on the blanket and lay in the sun, throwing ideas back and forth on what you could fill your time with. The beach was nearby, so you could go swimming or collect shells or find something to do back at home after all. In the end, nothing was tempting enough to move from your current position, so you can continue chatting with Lee and nibbling on your snacks while the sun traveled into the sky overhead. So, how are your neighbor doing? You haven't spoken about them lately. You knew Lee wasn't talking about the neighbors generally, or down the street. She wanted to hear about the Holdens across the road. It was no secret that she liked to keep up to date with what was happening with them, or more specifically, Cove. There weren't many other people your age around to talk about. They're okay. They're great. You rolled your eyes. I have no idea. I don't care. They're okay. You shrugged, not really having any other details to give her. Oh, that's good. She was wanting something juicier, but it couldn't be helped. Lee loved to chat about others' relationships and would always ask you for details on other people you both knew. I think Cove is pretty neat. I don't know why you don't like him. You dodged the question, not really wanting to get into another conversation about it. I just don't. Then how about Derek? You've gotta have seen him around. I know about him either. He's really good. We have a crush on him, so we should know what he's how he's doing. At least he says so when he's here.
Oh.
Cool. The sun slowly began to set, the sky turning a rosy pink and then warm orange. Too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Yeah, he's a good person. I really like him too. He's okay. He's kind of boring. I don't really like him. I like him too. We have a crush on him. I knew you would. So, exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet. Lee wriggled her eyebrows, you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. Lee, there's nobody I like that right now. I can't answer that. I have a crush, yeah. Okay, so she's our cousin, and we're supposed to be very close with her. So let's just be like, yeah, I like him. Lee's eyes sparkled in an instant, like she'd just hit the jackpot. What? Who is it? I'm not giving you names. Someone from school. It's Derek. It's Mr. Holden. Kira. It's Derek. For real? Ah, that's so cute. And I think he likes you too. You weren't surprised when Lee started squeezing you for more details, and you answered as much as you were comfortable with. The two of you talked about your preferences and who you liked and stuff. You found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sort of things. Finally, both of you decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Tension hung thick in the air as three of them turned to you and Lee, frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. Wow, who died? What's going on? You looked between them and said, hello. Who died? Ma winced, and you almost immediately knew you knew joking was the wrong thing for this. You really hoped no one was actually dead. We were just having a talk with your sister. The room fell quiet again. No one quite knew what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last too long. You don't have to stop just because those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your mom's not in agreement with her. Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand what was happening now. When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably, as though she didn't know if she should be in there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact neither of them had given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just never thought you'd accidentally stumble onto it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past. We did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now. So, your mom shared a nervous glance and Ma took a quick breath before speaking again. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms. Her eyebrows shot upward in surprise. Wait, I wasn't born here? No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I going to have to pass some tests to even be a citizen? No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who were my parents as people? Did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her answer. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were both reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions. Her eyes filled with tears. She threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great, so I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anybody could stop her. I have to go talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your Ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the top of the area, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all. Lee patted you on the back and gave you a supportive look. I want to know? No, I don't want to hear, not right now. You couldn't even answer. I would just be like, I don't. Your parents took that as a no. That's perfectly fine. You can always ask later if you ever change your mind. You smiled at them gratefully It was nice to know they wanted to be open with you about the topic, even if it wasn't a talk you wanted to have now. No one seemed to have any words after that. Went up to your room. You need to stay here with Mom. Want to get out of the house? You wanted to see Elizabeth. Let's go talk to Elizabeth. You were worried about Elizabeth, even though she had been so angry when talking to your moms about everything. You could see she was clearly sad. You headed over. You headed over to the stairs up to her room. Ah, with Lively in the living room. It would be best to speak to Elizabeth alone. There was more of a chance of her opening up to you that way. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock on it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, then you jiggled the handle and found it was locked. Raising your hand again, you knocked a little louder this time, thinking she must have had headphones on and couldn't hear you. When she didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear to you that she either still couldn't hear you or was straight up ignoring you. It hurt to be shut out, especially right now. You went to your room. Want to get out of the house? My room. And safely behind your closed bedroom door, you let out a heavy breath before heading over to take a seat on your bed. You lay back on your bed and stared up at the ceiling, tracing the outlines of old cracks and lines up there with your eyes. You had no idea what to do now, so you stayed where you were for a while, thinking everything through. Everyone had been so upset earlier, and you didn't really know what you could do to help. Eventually, the sun finished setting, casting long shadows on your bedroom walls until the outside was enveloped by dark of night completely. All the things your mom had said raced through your mind, and you stayed still, trying to make sense of it all. A knock on the door made you look up, though before you could even move and swung open, Elizabeth stood in your doorframe. She walked closer, and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying. When she stood right in front of you, she paused, her eyes drifting to the ground as she hesitated. Elizabeth folded her arms and looking you over. Did moms tell you about your parents too? I didn't want to know. I don't want to talk about it. I didn't want to know. Elizabeth nodded in understanding, her face solemn. Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused though. Why did you why did you stop doing that then? She shook her head as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, and I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. She sighed, glancing upward for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everybody breathing down our necks. It was pretty crappy. If you just bail, it makes me notice that was unkind. Thank you for thinking me. I'm not mad at you. You were quite surprised by your nation. We're not mad at her. She was stressed. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me. How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the U.S. to become president. What? You had never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed you bafflement and continued. I get I was never going to be president, but I just feel weird having stuff taken away, not even getting a chance at all. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was going to have a completely different life. So different, I can't even think about what I look like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here, had someone else as my siblings, and then my parents died. I was adopted, and then the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was, even if I wanted to. Having to settle between you and the person who became your sister. Feel like that too? Exactly how she felt. I don't really understand. We understand that. I can't stop wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't adopted. There are so many things that could have been different. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I had in my head for a while. When it was just me and mom's in the living room, just kind of said it and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also looked more gentle. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Ari. She smiled and fixing you with sharp eyes. I'd already figured a long time ago that moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Technically, one of them could have been related to you. You kept listening to Elizabeth. It really doesn't change anything? Technically, yes. Our moms can have kids, just not both together. True, but I'm not half white or Native Hawaiian, So no, neither of them could have been my mom.
Nice try.
Nice try, smart Alec. Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sister's status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sibling.
Oh. You smiled softly at her. You jokingly groaned at the prospect. You bumped her back. We'll give her a hug. It took a few seconds, but she gave you a quick squeeze in return. You'll always be my family, too. I think I'm really lucky. You took the moment quietly. Lucky. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. We should probably head downstairs and make sure moms are okay. It's been a long day for everybody. You gave her a nod. Down we go. Together you stepped in the living room. You found your moms quietly sitting together in the kitchen table. They both got to their feet when they noticed the arrival. Ma gave you a careful smile. We're so glad to see you. Hi, I'm sorry for walking away before. Everything all right? You said nothing. Is everything all right? That's wonderful, sweetheart. Wait. Everything is all right. Not is everything all right. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
We really couldn't have asked for better, kiddos. We love you. More than we could ever say.
Aw.
Moms, look at that. Annoyed but daughterly love. Moms. He smiled at the comfort. You were so glad your moms were all right. You're smooshing me. Smoosh. You all chuckled at the rumble of laughter shaking you all as you continued to hold each other tight. I love you too. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you all had each other, and you always would. Hey, I hope you're all right. Lee came up towards you, soft smile plastered on her face. And are you okay, Elizabeth? Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, and you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, though you could tell she didn't quite believe her. Well, now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night is over. I love the sound of that. Why not? Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here in the house with everyone in the same room. We could just put on a movie. That would be wonderful. That's good to me. You were happily watching a movie. You weren't so thrilled with the idea, but along with any. I love family movie night. I'll cook up some popcorn. The rest of you can pick a movie. Your mom headed off to the kitchen. Ma turned to face the rest of you. What do we have in mind? Anything but drama. We don't need any more of that today. There was some chuckles at her joke, and you thought about what you would prefer to watch. Rom-com, horror, sci-fi, in the mood for action. Maybe we should watch a family-friendly film. Comedy would be great. I love horror. Cool. Perfect. With the basics settled, Ma took sorting through the DVD collection. You didn't notice Elizabeth sliding up to you until she was right next to you, arm to arm. Since there's only so much room on the couch, I'd say I should go to Ari and it should go to Ari and I. This is our day. Wait, I want to sit with you too. I'm small. I won't even notice I'm there. Elizabeth raised a skeptic eyebrow. Not so sure about that. Ma stood back up with the DVD in her hand and a smirk on her face. I want to sit with the cool kids too. Surely there's room for one more, right? Might be a tight fit, but we can make it work. You could tell Ma was teasing, and Elizabeth rolled her eyes where things were going. She had expected an easy victory. I don't need to sit on the couch. He felt shy over being made the center of attention. There's not enough space for everybody. I want the couch. Lee looked disappointed by that, but it was the truth. Ma came back with a big bowl of fresh popcorn, and you inhaled the smell of hot salted snack. What's the skinny? We all want to sit with Elizabeth and Ari, but there's not enough room on the couch. Ma took the answer in stride and pursed her lips thoroughly. That's definitely a problem. I suppose there's only one solution. Elizabeth and Ari will have to sit on the floor in front of the couch. That's why there's a spot behind them on the floor at their sides.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's fair.
Rude.
What? No, the whole point was us getting the couch to ourselves. Sorry, that's the cost of popularity. Elizabeth groaned and crossed her arms over her chest in annoyance. Fine, Ari, you're with me in front of the rest of you. In front. The rest of you can fend for yourselves. There was a mad dash as Mom and Lee raced for the couch behind you, and Elizabeth and Ma put the DVD in the player before joining them. Everyone soon quieted down, and the only sound to be heard were of hands scooping up popcorn, munching it down as the movie began. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased as part of the family you had. Oh, that was short, but also there's so much because I didn't want to hear about the family. There's so much because Cove's not involved, and there's so much because we didn't do the play. Like, there was a lot missing from that I'm used to. So, hope you enjoyed, and if you did, remember to hit like and subscribe and come back for the next video. Hope you had a good day, and I'll see y'all next time.